we got to talk about the newest thing that libs are big mad about. This is from our friends over at the Daily Wire who dug into this, but President Trump and the Trump administration are attempting to halt the Job Corps program. And of course, the well-intentioned, or at least the libs would say, Job Corps program. What a tragedy. People are looking for jobs and they're part of a corps. It's Job Corps. Well, turns out the Job Corps program, riddled with lots of different controversies, was also extremely and extraordinarily ineffective. If you don't know this, Job Corps gets about $2 billion, almost $2 billion from federal funding, and has been around since 1964. What it does is it houses troubled youth, ex-cons, high school dropouts, runaway teens from 16 to 24 in government-paid housing in attempt to get them a GED or trade skills to go out and work in the trades. Now, I think that's a great thing. Working in the trades is a great idea. Not everybody needs to go to college, so on its face, it makes a lot of sense. However, like so many things in the federal government, once you do a little bit of digging, you start to see, oh, this is not actually working. A huge percentage of the people who are in charge of this program are government contractors, and turns out, well, they were cooking the books. According to actual data, American Job Corps spends up to $764,000 per student, if you want to call them students or participant in the program. And then after they get out of the Job Corps, I guess the good news is they will end up making on average $17,000 a year. In other words, it costs more for the taxpayer to put somebody through Job Corps than it does to go to Harvard, and then on the back end, you make almost barely more than the standard deduction. Holy cow, that's ineffective. On top of that, according to the Daily Wire, the last 3 years, more than 500 sexual assaults have been reported in facilities in the last 3 years. Did I say 3 years? 5 years? 3 years? In the last 3 years, 4,600 reported violent assaults and 8,000 drug-related instances. In other words, if you want to be a proponent of the Job Corps, that is totally fine. It is not a safe program, it is not an effective program, and it is not a good use of American taxpayer dollars, and therefore, it should go bye-bye. Here to comment on that and so much more is Alex Stein, friend of the show, and Chloe Castillo, conservative commentator. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Joe Bob.
Thank you for having us.
Alex, I want to start with you here. Again, sounds good on its face. There's a guy, I forget his name, but he's famous for saying, sounds good, doesn't work. Again, his name will probably come to me at some point in the show, but sounds like a well-intentioned thing. Turned out was wasting a lot of money and effectively not physically safe. Is the Trump administration right to roll this back?
100%, because, anything the federal government touches, they screw up because the federal government is so incompetent. So, seeing Job Corps go, this is good, and this is more bloat and waste. It just needs to go. And that's why I was kind of worried when Trump said that he was going to reallocate $2 billion from Harvard and give it to trade schools. I was kind of worried because they would probably mess that up and send it to the wrong trade school or a damn trade school in Afghanistan or something. I don't think the Trump administration is going to waste money on gender studies in Afghanistan and stupid stuff like that. But when it comes to this Job Corps, it's not giving kids jobs. It's not teaching kids the skills that they need to be successful. And look at our private prison industries. Like, they are taking advantage of people. So anything connected to that, like Job Corps and, what is it, rehabilitating criminals, it's usually just actually a way to take advantage of people that are more vulnerable.
Yeah, and it really isn't fair to the people participating in that. Yeah, and everything the federal government touches just goes to crap. I think there was a Reagan quote: if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert in 5 years, they'd run out of sand. Chloe, one of the requirements to be in Job Corps, and this feels like a disincentive to me, is that you can't be able to read above an 8th grade level. I mean, look, again, all about helping people out. Would love to do it privately through church institutions and other things like that. But this seems like a disincentive to actually succeed in life, does it not?
Oh, absolutely, Joe Bob. And it's very frustrating, honestly, as a young person to see how many ways, how many various ways the government will try to dumb down my generation. And they'll go through great lengths to make sure that we are as uneducated and dependent on them as humanly possible. And so, this, I would say, is one another great example of that. And so, it doesn't surprise me, honestly. I think the federal government has been at this sort of agenda for years, but I think it's great that President Trump is scratching this, and it's wonderful to see someone in office finally taking a stand.